If you saw our recent Jonah and Prodigal Son animations, you might have missed a shocking connection between these two stories. Both have a villain hiding in plain sight, and it's not the rebellious prophet or the wayward son. Jonah saves an entire city, yet he's furious about it. The older brother watches his father celebrate, and his heart fills with rage. What connects these two men is a deadly attitude about who deserves God's mercy. This same attitude might be lurking in your own heart right now, especially when you watch grace get extended to people you think don't deserve it. Let's examine what makes these characters so unexpectedly dangerous. When most people read about Jonah, they picture him as the obvious troublemaker. He runs from God, gets swallowed by a fish, and reluctantly delivers his message to Nineveh. The Prodigal Son story seems equally straightforward. A rebellious young man squanders his inheritance, hits rock bottom, and finally comes home. But there's another character lurking in each narrative whose response reveals something far more sinister than outright rebellion. These figures don't run away from God or abandon their duties. Instead, they fulfill their obligations while harboring hearts that grow poisonous with resentment. Jonah achieves the impossible. He walks into Nineveh, one of the most violent cities in ancient history, and delivers God's message of impending judgment. The entire population responds with unprecedented repentance. From the king to the common citizen, everyone fasts, puts on sackcloth, and cries out to God for mercy. This represents one of the greatest evangelistic successes in biblical history, a vast number of people turning from their wicked ways all at once. Yet Jonah's response to this miraculous transformation is explosive anger. He becomes so furious that he asks God to kill him. A man who has just witnessed the salvation of an entire civilization would rather die than celebrate their redemption. The older brother presents a similar contradiction. He has spent years working faithfully in his father's fields, never disobeying a direct command, maintaining his reputation as the reliable son. When his younger brother returns home after wasting half the family fortune, the father throws an extravagant celebration. The older brother's reaction mirrors Jonah's perfectly. He refuses to enter the house. He stands outside listening to the sounds of celebration, and his heart fills with the same poisonous rage that consumed Jonah. Both men share an identical toxic attitude that transforms good news into personal offense. They have constructed their self-worth around being the faithful ones, the obedient ones, the ones who deserve God's favor because of their track record. When grace gets extended to people they consider unworthy, it challenges the entire system they use to measure their value. This attitude doesn't remain confined to ancient stories. Walk into any church on Sunday morning, and you'll likely find people struggling with the same toxic resentment. They smile during the service, but internally bristle when the pastor celebrates someone's testimony of redemption. They participate in outreach events while secretly hoping certain types of people won't actually show up to these events. The real villain in both stories isn't the one who runs away from God. It's the one who thinks they deserve God more than the others do. Rebellion is obvious and easy to identify. This deeper form of spiritual sickness is harder to detect because it often masquerades as righteousness. The person exhibiting it can point to their faithful service, their consistent attendance, their moral behavior as evidence of their superior spiritual status. These men represent the dangerous trap of conditional love that catches even the most faithful believers. They have spent so much time earning their place at God's table that they've forgotten grace was never about earning anything in the first place. Their faithfulness has become a source of pride rather than of gratitude, a weapon to exclude rather than a bridge to include. This pattern explains why some of the angriest people about God's mercy are found inside the church rather than outside of it. People who have never claimed to follow God don't feel threatened when he shows kindness to others. But those who have built their identity around being God's chosen ones often struggle when that choosing extends beyond their approved lists. The Jonahs and older brothers among us reveal that proximity to God doesn't automatically produce the heart of God. Sometimes it produces something much more dangerous, the illusion that we understand divine justice better than the divine judge himself. What drives faithful people to such rage when witnessing acts of divine mercy? The answer cuts deeper than most believers want to admit. The psychology behind this reaction reveals something uncomfortable about human nature. Jonah doesn't try to hide his fury or soften his complaint. He marches straight to God with an accusation that reveals the true source of his anger. He tells God directly that he knew this would happen from the very beginning. Before he ever set foot on that ship to Tarshish, before the storm and the fish and the dramatic rescue, Jonah already understood God's character perfectly. He knew God would be gracious and compassionate, slow to anger and abounding in love, quick to relent from sending calamity. This confession exposes the shocking truth about Jonah's original fight. He wasn't running because he feared the Ninevites would kill him for delivering bad news. He was running because he feared they would respond with repentance and receive forgiveness. Jonah chose his preference for divine judgment over the possibility of widespread mercy, even though it meant an entire civilization might face destruction. Women, children, pets, all of it. Think about the calculations happening in Jonah's mind. He weighed the eternal fate of an entire city against his understanding of prophetic authority. And he chose to preserve what he saw as the proper order of divine justice. He would rather maintain the boundaries between the righteous and the wicked than risk seeing those boundaries dissolved by unexpected grace. The older brother's rage follows identical logic, though his circumstances appear completely different. He has spent years building his identity around being the faithful son, the one who stayed home, worked hard, and never brought shame to the family name. Every day, he remained dutiful, while his brother lived recklessly, became another deposit in his account of earned favor. He calculated that his faithfulness should guarantee him certain privileges and recognition that his wayward brother could never claim. When the father throws a celebration for the prodigal's return, complete with the best robe, family ring, and fatted calf, the older brother sees those symbols as stolen from his rightful place. The party isn't just honoring his brother's return, it's elevating someone who's abandoned the family to the same status that took the older brother years of faithful service to achieve. When we truly grasp that mercy was never supposed to be fair, we become people who extend that same beautifully unfair mercy to everyone we encounter. But putting this into practice means making a choice every time we encounter grace we think someone else doesn't deserve. Every moment like this becomes an opportunity to choose which character you'll embody. Next time you feel that familiar irritation, when someone receives grace you think that they don't deserve, remember Jonah and the older brother and choose the father's heart instead. God's mercy isn't fair, and that's exactly the point. It's the only thing that can reach every human heart, including yours. Fair would leave us all condemned. Unfair mercy saves us all. Comment below and tell me which character you recognize most in yourself. Jonah, the older brother, or the father. And share one small step you'll take this week to celebrate grace instead of judging it. This week at dinner, ask your family, who can we celebrate? If you haven't seen our Jonah or Prodigal Son animations yet, they expand on these scenes and they're kind of fun. Watch them after this video.